Hey guys, what about now? Can you hear me now? I see you guys are seeing my screen. Tell me if you can hear me now, guys, in the chat, if you would, pretty please. Now you hear me. Okay, all right. Sorry about that. I tried to call in via the phone, but apparently it wasn't working. So I'm going to start over here. So my name is Josh Wise, VP of Customer Success here at rezStream. My role here at rezStream is to help people utilize our products and services, make sure that you're onboarded properly, make sure that you're getting good customer experience, and make sure that I'm showing you constantly how to use the products and take advantage of new things that we come out with, or tips and tricks. For those of you recently that haven't had the best experience with our customer support department due to response times and things of that nature, we had an influx of about 100 new properties that we weren't expecting in the first quarter. So we were playing catch up there with trying to get people onboarded to make sure that it was a wonderful experience. We have recently hired some additional resources, and we're currently training those. So we expect those resources to be more efficient. I try and jump in and help as best that I can. So thank you for your patience. We'll do our best to get that level of support back to where it needs to be, that everyone comes to expect and that we expect from ourselves. Okay, the purpose of these webinars here, these usability webinars once a month, is to make sure that we're showing you tips and tricks of how to use the product, the cloud reservation software, as well as sharing with you new releases that you may not have time to experiment with on your own. If for any reason you can't make these webinars, or you got to jump off early, no worries there, guys. We record them all and we place them in the cloud. So let me go ahead and show you where that is. Up here in the upper right-hand corner of all your individual cloud reservation software is a little bell. Every time we come out with a new big release, that bell will ring and you'll see an icon next to it showing you that there's a new release. Otherwise, you can always come up here yourselves. And we have 3 different tabs in here. One is new features. So when there's a big feature that impacts everyone, we announce it here, and I do a little write-up here within that little section and try to include screenshots or a GIF to show you how that works. So that's how you can access those. Then this tab here, Cloud Updates, these are release notes from our dev team. So they're more the technical, what I call nerdy, geeky updates with every single thing that we did, all features, usability, performance, task, bugs. So that way you guys can see what it is that we've spent our time on and what is changing within the product in the event that it impacts you. The last thing here, the last tab, is our Usability Webinar. So here's a historical reference of all the webinars that we've done. So that way you can go out and watch the recordings at your own time, at your own convenience. We know that you guys are very busy, and sometimes breaking away from your day to sit on these live isn't always going to work for you, but we do put them all in here. And please allow 24 to 48 hours for us to get those uploaded. And then here's a link to see all of our historical ones. So there can only be whatever it is, 10 to 12 listed on a page here, but you can always go access the other ones there, okay? We're using a new Zoom meeting thing. We used to use GoToMeeting, so it's a little bit new for everyone, but this should have chat features and things like that. So go ahead and interact there. I try to keep these to 30 minutes or less for everyone's time's sake. I know y'all are busy, so if I don't answer your question live, because I'm trying to keep it to a specific agenda, I'll do my best to follow up with you, or always feel free to email or call me, guys. So I'm always accessible, and I'll do my best to reply in a timely manner. So thank you very much. Okay, so I've showed you where to access these things, release notes, new features, usability webinars. The other thing I wanted to show you here, guys, that's very important is our knowledge base. So if you go to support.rezstream.com, you can access our knowledge base. And the reason why I reference this is it's not that we don't want you to call in, it's not that we don't want you to email, but as we're going through our peak season, which is also your peak summer seasons, we get a huge increase by about 30% of our normal ticket volume. And as we're onboarding new staff, and as we onboarded a whole bunch of new customers in Q1, there's going to be a backlog here. So I just want to make sure that you guys are empowered to be able to get answers to your questions in a timely response time while you may be waiting for a response from the support team. So if you go to support.rezstream.com, you get to our knowledge base, you see our branding here. We have 2 different product lines that are listed in here within our knowledge base, which is our rezStream cloud software, which all of you attending today have, and our legacy reservation software. But you can come in here, guys, and you could search on anything that you want. And then when you hit that search button here, it's going to come back with various different articles that are related to that. What you need to pay attention to is that you're on the right product, okay? So rezStream Cloud PMS is what you guys would be looking for. Avoid anything that says rezStream Professional. That's our legacy software, okay? But then you could jump into those knowledge-based articles and hopefully get the information that it is that you're looking for. So that's a good way to self-serve while support may be bogged down, or if you don't want to reach out to support. But by no means am I discouraging you. We want to talk to you. We want to help you. But we also want you to get a timely answer and not get frustrated either, okay? Within the cloud reservation software on each page, if you hit the question mark, you'll be able to get to articles related to that particular page or section. May not be exactly what it is that you're looking for. However, just know that you can also access it there, and we do our best with the resources that we have to keep those updated and constantly update. So I know that's something that we need to continue to pay attention to, okay? Okay, all right, moving along here, there's two very specific things I want to show you today. I'm going to jump back in here into these release notes. The very latest release that we came out with 3 weeks ago had 3 new features that are very, very important to dealing with group reservations. So if you've been on the cloud for a while and you've tried to use the group features, you probably likely got frustrated because we weren't able to do these things here. But I want to show you how to do these things today related to group features. Now, some of you do groups all the time. Some of you it's few and far between, but I want to make sure that you understand how to do it, okay? So with that being said here, I'm going to jump into my occupancy map. And what I'm going to do here, guys, is I'm going to make a group reservation. So by default, we have 2 different modes, if you will, to select a reservation. By default, it's always on single unit selection. And the assumption is that the majority of you, the majority of the time, are going to book 1 room for 1 person. Okay, that's the assumption. So that's what we default it to when you come to the occupancy map. However, if you're going to make a group reservation, you can simply select or toggle the group selection mode, which then allows you to select multiple different units for reservation, okay? So you'll notice here, instead of just selecting 1 reservation for 1 person, I have the ability to select multiple by clicking and dragging, just like you're used to. And then you'll see I'm in group selection mode, and I'm allowed to go ahead and book that group, assign it to a specific person that's already in my database or that I need to add, right? So I've done that here. So as I continue with this reservation and book without confirmation, you'll see here that this reservation for Josh Wise has these 3 units on it. And if I jump back to this occupancy map here and it updates, you'll see I've got Josh Wise, and Josh Wise, all part of that group reservation, okay? Well, historically, we've had some issues with adding people to those group reservations, doing payments and doing invoices, but we fixed those things. So if I bring up that particular reservation, whether it's a group or an individual reservation, it's very easy now for me to add group members to this reservation. So you'll see here in this dialog box, once I've selected that reservation, I can now add group members here. And it's showing me the group members already associated to that reservation. So I can then search on other people in my database, or I can always add a new person. But for time's sake, I'm just going to search and select someone. So me and my buddy, John Elway, hopefully y'all are familiar with him. I've now added John Elway to that reservation. And if I close this down here and I refresh this screen, if I come back to that group reservation, I'll now see that John Elway as well as myself are on this reservation. So I'm going to select it. And now if I scroll down here over my group members, you see that I've easily been able to add group members to that reservation. Now, maybe you want to assign John to a room, maybe you don't, that's okay. It doesn't really matter because historically you could assign another person to that reservation, but it was really wonky how it delivered the notes, the communications, the invoices, and the payments always back to that group leader. Well, now you've got a little bit more flexibility, okay? If I actually jump into this reservation here, guys, I want to show you something else. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to view this invoice. I'm going to go ahead and view this invoice here, and you'll see all the various different line items on this particular invoice here. I've got some different options here of how to deal with this thing if I wanted to, whether as it regards to making payments here, okay? Now, I want you to see something. As I come in here, I've jumped into the invoice associated to Josh Wise, but you'll also notice now I've got a drop down here. So this is one of the new features related to payments, okay? So who is the person making the payment? Well, it's Josh Wise. He's paying with this method, and the amount that he wants to pay is going to be half, okay? So Josh wants to pay for half, and here's his pay date. And I'm just gonna say Josh Wise payment here in the description, and I'm gonna make a payment for half of that invoice, okay? Now, like it normally does, it updates everything. So I still see my total, I see what's paid, and I see the balance. And then you'll see here that Josh Wise has now made that payment for half the amount, and there's that little note that I put in there. Well, if I wanted to associate another payment here, I could hit make payment again, but this time in my drop down, John's gonna pay for the other half, and it automatically toggles in the remaining balance here. And if I wanted to adjust that, I could by my predetermined fields, or I could override it and delete it if I wanted to. But John's going to make this payment. I'm going to make a note in here. And I'm going to make that payment to John on his credit card. And then you're going to see here all the payments or transactions, if you will, that's been made against that invoice. So we now have the ability, guys, with this latest release 3 weeks ago, to split up the payments. So not only can I add group members that either are or are not associated to a specific unit, but I can add group members if they just want to make a payment. So your group, you got people pitching in, it's moms, it's grandmas, brothers, sisters, spouses, however you guys are getting your payments. But now you have the ease and flexibility to do so, right? And then you can also make whatever notes it is that you want on here. So maybe a note, a more realistic note would be unit charges. Whereas John Elway's note maybe was meals or incidentals or whatever it is that John wants to pay for, right? The boating, the fishing, the camping, whatever it is that you guys are breaking up and doing your split payments on. But by putting notes in there, now you have a historical reference on this specific invoice of not only the line items, but who made the payments, what they were for, and in how much, okay? So that's pretty interesting here, or hopefully it's pretty helpful to you guys that deal with group reservations, and you need to either add people, you need to take multiple different payments from multiple different people, okay? So you've got those abilities to do those things, okay? Now, the other thing I want you to pay attention to here is you also now have the ability to add an invoice here, okay? So you could create or add an additional invoice onto this reservation, and you could add more people to it or whatever it is that you want to do, but it's letting you know that you're going to be adding a new invoice for this particular person. So whether it's another person in the group, a person with a specific assignment, or someone that wants to break out an invoice on this reservation for whatever reason, we know that this now applies. So I can now add an invoice, select the person, and then I can add whatever charges it is that they're going to be covering for however much, right? So you'll see here, I now have that flexibility, and then I can run payments or split payments again on this additional invoice for this reservation, guys. So the early feedback that we're getting here is that, hey, group reservations suck. I don't even use it. The workarounds suck. So that's why we came out with being able to add people, split payments, as well as add different invoices. And for those people that we talked to on the support team, or that have called in, so far the feedback's really good. So I'm excited that the team was able to deliver that. I'm excited to be able to share it with you. Would love for you guys to use it, and as usual, we absolutely want to hear any and all feedback it is that you guys have. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up that portion of it. And then the second thing, or the last thing I want to show you here, I got about 10, 11 minutes left before I'd like to close it up, is I want to talk about maybe some pains that happen to you guys during your busy season time, okay? So for those of you that have, you know, whatever, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 units, or for those of you that are running very, very high occupancy in your busy season here coming into the summer, near 100% occupancy, most of you are likely or are at least used to using the occupancy map in some function, right? You come to this occupancy map, whether you are making a reservation, whether you are looking up people, whether someone's standing in front of you and you want to take a payment, you want to do a check-in or check-out, you're frequently dealing with the occupancy map, right? And as you've likely experienced, the occupancy map can be sluggish at various different times, more specifically when you are very busy, there's lots of reservations, or there's very high occupancy, okay? The reason why the occupancy map gets sluggish is because it's loading so much information, right? So you open this occupancy map, and we've got all these items up here and all these items over here. Well, we've got all your rooms listed. We've got all your rates and every individual cell listed. Then we have to populate all these reservations with the information that's on them. And so as your season starts to fill up and you get a bunch of different reservations, this is going to slow down a little bit here, and it can get frustrating, right? I know it can. I've experienced myself. You guys have experienced. You've got people standing in front of you. Maybe they're burning a hole right through your damn soul because the system's spinning. They think maybe you're incompetent. You got to come up with a quick-witted small chat on the fly. And it's just painful for everyone, right? So the reason why I'm talking about this is I want to kind of walk you through some various different ways to avoid the occupancy map as much as humanly possible if you experience these sluggish slowdowns, okay? So instead of coming to this occupancy map on your dashboard, right, you guys should be familiar with this and hopefully you utilize this. This is a recap of all your arrivals, your stayovers, your departures, your no-shows. And right from this screen, for everything that's happening today, I can go into these specific reservations here, guys, and I could jump right into this person's page if I needed to update contact information, name, address, phone numbers, email, specific notes, preferences, right? I could jump into this specific reservation and I could view everything about this reservation, the unit that they're in. I can make payments from here. I can view invoices, add point of sale items, packages. I can take payments. I can create new invoices, add group members, take notes here, right? So I don't need to necessarily go to the occupancy map and load 30 different units and 100 different reservations if I'm engaging with someone that's arriving today and needs to make some changes, right? So I want you guys to start thinking and getting familiar with using this dashboard here for those types of interactions. I can even jump into this specific invoice or check people in or send them letters, receipts, or whatever, right? So I want you guys to be thinking when you're using the occupancy map, what is it that you're using it for? And if it's something other than just making a new reservation, okay? And I want you to be thinking about how you can access those invoices, contact records, reservations, payments, check-ins, letters from other sections that populate much faster and are going to help you with your efficiency during your very busy season with high occupancy, okay? So there's one way to do it. Another way to do it is if you come to this people section, if you're searching on a person, you'll get all the people related with those characteristics, and then you can quickly jump into that and you can update those things. You can add new reservations, you can add invoices, you can make payments against invoices. So starting with the person and then adding a reservation is something that you can do. It's going to take you back to the occupancy map here, but in various different tests on my end, that appears to load a little bit faster because you've already got some selections here before your click and drags. So that's another way to think about it. Something else, guys, is we have reservation and invoices sections, and within both of those sections, you have the ability to search on reservation information, whether they have a reservation number, whether you're looking for a specific person. You can search by name, so that way you can quickly get to a reservation and go through and do various things, tags, check-ins, payments, invoices, things of that nature, right? So we also have this within the invoices. You can search on various different things up here, okay? So again, the whole purpose of explaining this is peak times, busy seasons, high occupancy, lots of reservations, lots of units, lots of crap loading on that occupancy map. It gets sluggish. It's embarrassing for you. It's embarrassing for the guests. Small talk, weird conversations, incompetent thoughts from the guests. So hopefully, in thinking about it this way, we can get you guys more efficient. Now, you may be thinking, okay, that's great, Josh, but what the heck is going to happen when I actually got to go to the occupancy map and I got to make a reservation? Well, as of right now, I can't change that for you. However, what I would like to share with you is we're currently building a feature so that way you can make a new reservation without ever having to actually interact with the occupancy map in general. So that way you can avoid having to load hundreds and hundreds of items from rates to reservations, names, rooms, descriptions, yada, 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 right? So hopefully the tips I'm giving you today as it relates to editing people information, checking people in, taking payments, reservations, invoices, you now feel comfortable using the dashboard, the reservation, or the invoice, or the people section without touching the occupancy map. And then in the very near future here, guys, as it relates to actually making a reservation, we'll create a way and we'll release it out for you to interact with making a reservation, selecting a date, selecting a unit, selecting a person without ever having to load the occupancy map during the peak times when it gets sluggish. So for some of you who love the occupancy map, it's a visual representation and you want to utilize that, well, as we're also working to figure out how to load it faster and only load imperative information or cache some of the information, as we go through those pains of fixing that problem, finding that needle in the haystack, we want to make sure that we educate and also create other opportunities so that way you're not having to be pained or bogged down or slowed down. Okay, so those are some things that I wanted to cover with you guys today, a recap of how to get information, new features, updates, and recordings. Also, the ability to self-serve on things that you need instant answers on if you're getting sluggish reply times from the support team. As we're getting bottlenecked a little bit here, go to support.rezstream.com. Make sure that you're paying attention to what product it is that you're on. And when you do global searches here, make sure that you pay attention to the product that the article is related to. We talked about group reservations and how to toggle into group mode to select more than one. We talked about how to manipulate those particular reservations to either be able to add group members, be able to add invoices, or we also walked through how to do split payments or take multiple payments on reservations. And then lastly here, what we talked about is as you get in your peak times of year and the occupancy map starts to act slow, you don't want to decrease your efficiency. So we talked about using the dashboard, the people section, the reservation section, and the invoice section for interacting with the product for those various different needs and edits and adjustments. So hopefully that helps you guys out. Okay, guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for your time and attendance. If you put in some questions here, I'm up against my time limit. So I'll do my best to reach out to you, or feel free to email or call me directly if I don't get a timely reply. I try to get back to everyone as best I can. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Thank you for your support and patience and attendance. And if there's anything that we can do, please let me know and we'll absolutely do our best for you. Okay. Thanks, guys. Hope you have a great day. Take care.